Okay, so it says, see, we're live now. Let's see if that does it. Yeah, I'm showing us that we're on. I just don't know
But
where.
you don't see it?
Okay, so we may have to send out, for whatever reason, it, okay. Here. Okay, use that. Try, if you go to the, what I just pasted right now in the chat, if you click on that link, it's gonna open it up.
I just went to the calendar invite though, and
Well, it changed it. That's the problem. So the YouTube changed this URL. So we're going to need to send, if you can, Blanca, in the chat,
Yeah.
this, you know, you see in the, let me close my door.
Let me open.
You
Where
see
do
that?
you have it?
that
Oh,
link
I
in the
mean,
chat? Hey, Blanca, do you see the link in the chat?
and the team chat?
Yeah, over on the Zoom chat. If you click on chat at the bottom,
Zoom. Okay.
there's a link
let
I
me
posted. If you can copy that link and send it out as a blast to our staff and let them know that they can access the live from that one.
Okay.
For whatever reason, the link that I shared, it changed it. YouTube changed the link. Why, I have no clue.
okay. Oh, Phil, I see. Well, two problems I see right away. So on the calendar invite, it has the link back to board docs. And so if there's going to be any, for example, Dana, who already has texted me 3 times this week about this meeting,
Yeah, I know.
she's not going to know where to go. And if we just post it here on the chat, it's just for us on Zoom.
Oh, pretty easy.
Oh, wait a minute. Which one do we send to Dana? The same link?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Hey,
Well,
let me go
she shouldn't be on Zoom.
No, this YouTube link that's in the chat here, that's to the actual live.
Committee.
Right, but the committee doesn't need to go on YouTube.
No, she's not on the committee though.
Who?
Dana Bennett?
Right, but again, we have to have public participation.
Right, so let me do this real quick. I can go to, let me go to board docs and I can actually change the link.
The link to, okay.
Okay, yeah, because right now the link to live streaming takes you just right to board docs, and that's it.
Right.
The link, so this link right here, this YouTube link takes you to board docs?
No, the link on the invitation.
On the invitation, I had it go into the agenda and to,
But the problem is on the invitation, it has, so on the calendar invite, it has a Zoom,
right.
and it also has the live stream link. So everyone has access to the Zoom. It should only be the governance council members who are on Zoom.
Did we put it on the agenda?
Everyone else should be on board docs on the live stream. When I click on the board docs on the live stream,
Oh, it takes
the board
it and
docs.
it's. So we need to take it off the agenda.
So here's what I did. Right now, come on. New agenda. Oh, come on. You gotta be kidding me. Go back.
I don't think we didn't put the Zoom on the agenda, only the live stream URL.
Okay,
And then in the email invite through Outlook, I sent the whole thing to Zoom. And then the others, so they can share it with public folks if they want to invite. But it on the agenda, Steve, it only has the live stream one.
okay.
We're good there. We're good there.
And I just.
Whether you want me
now-
to change our Zoom information.
No, you don't need to change Zoom. Zoom is fine. What I did right now is I went to Board Docs and I changed the old YouTube link and replaced it with this new one. So if you click on, and I don't know, do you need to go in and refresh that, Blanca?
What is that, Phil? I can't hear you clearly. What is that?
Oh. So I went in and, let me put my headset in.
To Board Docs?
Yeah, I went into the Board Docs and I actually dated the old, I switched out the old YouTube link with this new one that I put in the chat here. So that now
Okay.
everyone, if they're looking for where to go, they can go to, it's correct now, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, let me double check that because it should automatically update it on the live,
Yes,
right?
yes,
You were on the live one? Okay.
yes.
I'm gonna double check. That would be the, let me look at it through the
So, hey, Steve,
JHPW. Different one, okay.
so I changed it, I replaced it with this new one here. So whatever's in the Board Docs now is correct with the new YouTube link. Now, the only
Okay.
problem is that whatever we sent out, you know,
You were on the live one, okay.
yeah, it should be ready to go.
That would be the,
Wow, that's delayed.
look at it.
Yeah, it's really delayed. Yeah,
So
they said it was going to be delayed.
different one, okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
I changed it, I replaced it with this new one here. So whatever's in the Board Docs now is correct.
Goodness.
So what I have up right now is YouTube. I have the Zoom screen, but I'm also looking at, I'm in my studio, YouTube studio. So I can look at, I can look at, yeah, see how delayed it is?
That would be the,
Okay. Okay, so that link on Board Docs is that's the correct link. It worked.
It's correct now, yes. So what I'm saying is to Blanca, this new link, if you'd like to maybe blast it out to staff, because I don't know, they might go to the old link. This
I
new
just-
link,
chat,
there you go.
just sent it out.
And I already have one public comment from Dana Bell. So just so you know.
Oh.
And how would you like to share the public comment?
Are you recording this?
I stopped it now.
Just under public comment number 2.
What's that?
We'll just address it under number 2, the public comments.
Okay. I can share, what I'll do is when it gets to that point, I'll share my screen.
Or is her public comment specific to one of the agenda items?
No, it's specific to Brown Act guidelines. I can see. It's difficult time to figuring out Brown Act. However, I have always been concerned that many of our documents to the Governance Council have not seemed to be available to the public prior to the meeting. And is only, she's ridiculous.
There's Joel.
Oh, do you hear me? Sorry, Chief. I had
Wow.
us on mute. Which we are in
Oh,
live
I'm
stream,
hearing.
so the video cameras aren't on, but the mute. So because I'm on mute, people can hear us. Just so you know, because we're already on live stream. So at this point, I can read the public comment out to everyone, and then if you want to address it, but it is about Brown Act rules and guidelines, and just asking to make sure that materials are out to the public prior to the meeting, which makes sense.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello, you sound like you have a happy child in the background.
Yeah, I had to close the door in there. Yeah, of course. But welcome. So at this point, the live stream is on, and so folks that want to access it, they can access it at this point. So just want to put that out there because our mics are hot and our video is hot as well. Which means, should I go put a jacket on, Chief? Yes? You're on mute.
Are we going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
We probably should.
I've been a pledge online before.
I've never done the pledge online. I'm assuming we probably should stand. But if that's the case, I will stop my video.
Don't forget to read, Phil, please.
Yes, I will record once it's started.
Yeah, I'm gonna take notes.
Yeah. And then I have all of the documents up so I can just share them as we go through. So Catherine's here. Hi, Damaris. So just so I've been telling everyone as they enter the Zoom meeting, we are streaming live at this point. So your mics are hot, videos are on. Just FYI, unless you mute yourself. So it's 4 o'clock, Chief, whenever you're ready. Or are we waiting for Courtney and Lori, I believe?
Derek.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's right.
and Derek. And you know if the parent or student will be joining us today?
I don't think so.
No.
No. And there's Lori. Hi, Lori.
Hi.
Hi, Courtney.
Courtney is here.
Hi, Blanca.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, hanging in there.
Yeah.
Right. There you are.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Hopefully Derek will be joining us a little bit later. I haven't heard from him. But again, I want to thank Phil and Blanca for setting up the board meeting for today, a governance council meeting for today. Again, right now, all of us are on Zoom and we are live streaming on YouTube, correct, Phil?
That is correct.
So
Smile.
there is quite a bit of, we've been on here for about the last 30 minutes trying to work out all the problems we were having and everything. And so I think we're good. We did see quite a delay on the YouTube part though. So we won't be able to see that, but there is a delay. So let's go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining us today. This will probably be a little awkward since we are on Zoom and are on YouTube as well. And again, some of the typical protocols are going to be a little bit different, I think, since are on Zoom. So we'll go ahead, and one of the things we were discussing earlier was the flag salute. How do we do the pledge? You know, so I put the flag behind me, but you know, I told Phil I hope he has pants on because I think he has to stand.
No.
I don't. Sorry. So I will stop my video as we all stand and do the pledge.
Okay, so let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. And Blanca, could you please do a roll call?
Yes, roll call, please. Is the chairperson here?
You could just call the names.
Just call everyone?
Yes.
Okay, we have Dr. Olmos,
Present.
Damaris Brooks.
Said present.
I know. Hanson,
Present.
Lori Pianca,
Present.
Courtney Portal,
Present.
and
Mr. Clark.
Derek Clark,
Present.
and Phil Morales, and Catherine Everett.
Here, here.
All right.
And just also, I'm sorry, Dr. Ramos, just for the record, I am recording the Zoom, so just so you know.
Okay. All right, Phil, why don't you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Of course I will. We can all rise. I pledge allegiance to the
To the
flag
flag
of the United
United
States
States
of
of America.
America and to the republic
Republic for which
which
stands
stands one
one
nation
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
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 with liberty
with
and
justice
for
for
all.
all.
justice.
That was
Scott?
awkward flag salute I think I've ever been a part of.
It's-
The timing was a little off, and so but again, thank you for everyone's patience today.
like I was watching my kids do it. We were all kind of all over the place. Good stuff.
Okay, Phil, item number 2, public comment. Persons desiring to address the council. Do we have any public comments?
At this point, we do have one, and I can read that into the record if you like.
Yes.
Okay, so, and also just know that I created a link, a public comment link that is available for the public to access and write comments, and then I can read this in. One public comment, do I say who it's from?
Yes.
Okay, it's from Dana Bennett. The comment is, I acknowledge that this is a difficult time in figuring out Brown Act rules guidelines is a pain. However, I have always been concerned that many of the documents for the Governance Council have not seemed to be available to the public prior to the meeting and is only available to view on the screen. In the case of this meeting, it is hard to know what public comment I might want to make without access to those materials prior to the meeting. It seems like we will only have access to live stream, and if we want to comment, we will need to submit comments after we see the presentation materials. Hopefully, for future meetings, whether virtual or in real life, we will have access to the materials presented to the council. Thank you.
Thank you. We will be addressing that for future meetings, and also try to get someone, hopefully when we're back face to face, to do a training on Brown Act as well. We may look at doing it online via Zoom. It might be a little bit more difficult that way though. So we'll kind of see how long we have to go with this, but we'll be looking into that to address those Brown Act issues. Next is informational items. Phil, the first one is local control and accountability plan update.
Correct. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ramos. So there are, and I want to share my screen with all of you, if that's okay, and show you. Very interesting. So we are required to submit a written report, operations written report for Opportunity Youth Academy. Can everyone see this screen here?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. It is the that we have to submit with our budget. So this is something, a document that we will be taking to Dr. Dewan or to the OIA board in the next few weeks. There are 5 questions that we have to answer. and they're pretty general questions, particularly just around what were some of the changes to your program when you went in shelter in place? How did you meet the needs of English learners, foster youth, and local student or low-income students? How are you providing a high-quality distance learning opportunities? Meals, what kind of meals, school meals are you providing to your students? And then the last is about student supervision, which initially I thought that was how are we supervising our students during the ordinary hours? But what this is really about is childcare. Are you providing, or what are the childcare opportunities for your students or your staff? So what I did is went through and just answer the questions. What is unique about OYA for us anyway is really there wasn't a huge drastic change for OYA going into a distance learning, simply because we kind of already do it in a somewhat of a distance learning model, and that our students already work online. They work from home. Yes, our students did come into sites, and there was a requirement that they had to, but we just kind of moved that model, the coming into the site, changed it so that they actually checked in with teachers virtually in cohorts or direct through Zoom or Google Meet. So, so answering these questions were not too difficult, and it wasn't much of a big change for us. The only, I would say the one difference is the meals to students. We didn't distribute meals to students. However, we did help our students or direct families and students to certain locations in schools that were providing meals, particularly Santa Clara County Office of Ed. We were able to let them know that that was a place that they could pick up a meal if they needed to. Other than that, it's the pretty general answers to these questions. I can share this document with all of you, and you can certainly take a look at it if you like. But this is one report.
Just to add also, the state has made some changes to the LCAP because of the whole shelter in place and the whole COVID issue. Many districts were in the middle of working on their LCAPs when everything basically shut down in March. So then it was difficult to have those stakeholder meetings and to go through all the necessary processes that the LCAP requires. So the state, what the state did is, in place of the LCAP, they created this, this template to be submitted to CDE into the county office by June. So this, it looks pretty short, and it is part of the template. The template only, you can't exceed 300 words per question. So 300 words, Phil really had to, it was a real struggle to try to stay within the 300 word limit per question. So that's why you see that it's pretty short. I mean, we could have really done a lot more, but we're limited to 300 words. Now what the state has done is they've moved the timeline for the LCAP. So the LCAP is an entirety. It's been pushed back to December 15th. So now we have to still start our process now and do the full LCAP and get it for approval by December 15th. So if we look at our timelines, we're probably going to be bringing it to the Governance Council probably sometime in September, October, in order to meet our December timelines. And so the state has really just prolonged that timeline from June to December. And this kind of the stopgap here for the June requirement.
Right, and so the LCAP that is coming up for December is actually a one-year LCAP for 2021. So we will do that in December, and then the 3-year actually will get approved back on track for 21, 22 and on at the end of spring 2021. So we'll, in a sense, have to kind of prepare for 2 LCAPs. So for next year, the 1-year LCAP coming up in December, and then the 3-year, the actual full LCAP 3-year is at the end of June. And the template for the 1-year LCAP hasn't been released yet, so I'm not sure what that looks like. It will hopefully get released in the next few months, but who knows? It's coming from the CDE.
And also remember that the state also suspended all testing. So we won't have metrics for that for upcoming LCAP as well. We'll have to rely mostly on our local metrics that we've included in our LCAP.
Right. Although we will be required to submit, I think, a indicator. We're likely do that every year. You kind of do your self-assessment tool, and that will be, we have to submit that by December as well. But we won't, Dr. Ramos is correct, we won't have kind of the dashboard indicators that we would use for CSI funding, for kind of our planning purposes. We won't have those this year, or for next year anyway. And by the way, this is 259 words. And I made sure I went to Word doc and hit word count, so it's 259. Pretty cool. Good. Any questions about this or comments, concerns?
Hi, Phil. This is Lori. I had one
Hi.
question.
Sure.
So this is the 1 year LCAP will be submitted. Plus, in addition to that, at some point, you'll also be submitting your distance learning plan, or have you already submitted that?
No, I don't think there is a requirement to submit a distance learning plan, but we have submitted some kind of plan to Dr. Ramos and to Dr. Dewan, just as a way to let them know what the plan was. And so we actually talked about a 3-phase plan. So our first phase was just finding out the need of our students, what technology they need, what were some of the other resources, or what were some of the challenges they were facing as we started shelter in place. And then the second phase was to start getting teachers to put a weekly schedule together so that they would contact their students and see when they were going to hold office hours and do some check-ins with students, particular 3 hours a day, let's say. And then our phase 3 is our actual full distance learning plan, which is cohorts within the day, some more structured work hours, some professional development for teachers, and that phase 3 is really the model that we're going to use for next year as well, depending on when we're going to reopen. But I think that's the model that we're just going to. It's more kind of the blended learning model, but having more of the cohort virtual online. So that is the distance learning plan, if that's what you're talking about, Lori.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess, sure, that all sounds good. I just thought that each school or district or charter is also required to, at some point, they haven't given a timeline yet, but to actually submit their distance learning plan to CDE.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
So,
yeah, I do put it in here, our distance
Right.
learning plan, which is in this part here with delivering high quality distance learning opportunities. But I haven't heard that that CDE was going to require us to submit a distance learning plan, unless it's going to be in the LCAP. I mean, specifically in the new template. It might be there. I don't know, but I haven't
no,
heard that.
from what I understood, it's a separate document, and I could look into it
Yeah.
also for you, just to, just I mean, it sounds like you have all the components already, but
Mhm.
it's my understanding that there is, will be upcoming a request for a distance learning plan document submission.
Well, that's good to know. Thank you, Lori. That
Sure.
way I can kind of start planning for that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it sounds like you have the components in place. It's just, and the other aspect of it that CD will be looking for is what you will be using as evidence or artifacts of student attendance or participation. So, and of course, it's not just whether or not you've connected with a student once a week or whatever. It's also things that you're already doing that just have to be included in the plan, like evidence of work submission or accessing Schoology, which are all things that when you are working on that, we could support you with Schoology report.
Lori,
Phil, this is Derek.
Yeah.
As concerning the technology.
That she says even okay, they so even if some evidence
Sorry, Derek.
that a student, if you were able to hear me, I know it's moving, breaking it in and out.
Yeah, we got you, Lori. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Phil, this is Derek. As far as the technology, how is it coming along with the foster care youth being able to access iFoster as far as laptops, and for the rest of the students, maybe to be able to get laptops or either Chromebooks and be able to get mobile hotspots or whatever they may need, like around technology?
I'm going to let Catherine answer that question because she has been managing our tech distribution and has done just a fantastic job getting our students Chromebooks and hotspots. But go ahead, Catherine, if you can answer that, that would be great.
Absolutely. During our first phase, we had the teachers reaching out to all of their students, asking them that exact question, whether they needed a Chromebook or Wi-Fi. And we were even asking if the Wi-Fi at their home was spotty, we would be able to provide a hotspot for that student as well. So we've done a number of distributions at different sites, South County included. Right now, as of today, we have 129 that have gone out the door, and those are the Chromebooks. And for the hotspots, we've had 62. We still have a few more students who are reaching out to the navigators and the teachers. And at this point, we're going to have a weekly distribution at Snell. 1 week will be morning, the next week will be an afternoon distribution. And then I apologize for the bell there. I've got teachers, I think, that are accepting invitations. I've also got individual students that I'm delivering to their homes using the protocol that the county office has given for safe and safe distancing guidelines. So as far as foster, I can tell you right now, we are getting an awful lot to those students. I'm actually hand delivering those to them, but I can get back to you with a more defined number of who we might be missing at this point, and actually who those students are that have received, if you wish. I don't have a problem with that.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, because if it is some students that might be missing some from my end, like for foster care, maybe they might be on our list, and we might be able to push that through too. So it's just kind of working together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Derek, please, if you have any students that need technology, please send them to us. One of the things, like I said, working together, that's been the nice thing about OIA being a part of the Santa Clara County Office of Education. Before, all our programs did their own individual orders for technology and hotspots and everything else. So what we did now is we're looking out a few months ahead and knowing that we probably won't be face-to-face anytime soon. So we're looking at our technology needs. Our technology department was highly involved with us. They're looking at ordering for all the programs all together to get economy of scale and get the best prices and to find the items that we need. Because right now, you know, Chromebooks and especially hotspots are going quickly.
Right.
As soon as we found some, we were going to get ready to order, and they were already sold out. So luckily, our tech department has been able to secure hotspots and Chromebooks for us. So we do have a big order that we're also putting in to be ready for August, September.
Okay, thanks.
I feel like I need to raise my hand. I have two questions. One is there a stakeholder input meeting scheduled?
No, not well, no.
Okay.
Are you?
We have
are
an
you-
idea of when.
Are you asking, so stakeholder input specifically for like LCAP or
LCAP,
just,
yeah. Sorry,
Okay.
sorry. Yes, for the LCAP.
yes, no, we don't have that yet. I want to see what the new templates, I'm assuming that we're going to need to have an LCAP stakeholder meeting for the new template. I'm just not sure when that's going to happen.
Okay.
But as soon as we do get that information and we start scheduling them out, we will make sure we get that information out to everybody.
Thank you. The second question is, you mentioned in your three-phase approach, and phase one is about surveying students, understanding their needs.
Mhm.
How did you do that? Did you send out a survey? If you did, I'd be curious if you could share the survey and the data from that survey.
Right, and the survey is not anything like the resource link survey or the success assessment survey. It was basically, do you have, because at the time we needed to get an understanding of what technology students had. So really it was, do you have technology? What kind of technology do you have? Do you have hotspot? And then I think we may have added in there, are you at least in a shelter? Do you have food? I mean, some really basic stuff, things that we knew at the time when we went into shelter place, things that we could start just kind of immediately addressing. So those surveys went out through Remind. We used Schoology if we could, through email, posted it on the email board. So just tried to get as much information as we could to understand what we were dealing with. And we did get a pretty good response back, which was why we were able to get technology out to our students pretty quickly. Yeah, but I could certainly share that information with you if you like, Courtney.
Yeah, thank you. I'm curious just because, there's a lot of talk about, different folks surveying students. We want to understand, what their needs are. And, from like an OYP perspective, I'm trying to not recreate the wheel. And if there are different questions that I can pull on from different surveys. Another thing in our Young Leaders Council, we're getting ready to put together a survey. We want to get, at least 200 opportunity youth throughout the county to complete survey. And so
Right.
just trying to bring all these different pieces of surveys together. So it'd be great just to look at that as a resource.
Yes, we'll share that with you. And I know that we just sent out another survey to our students specifically about transition into next year. And Catherine sent that out. So we're getting that information back. And I think it was some very basic questions of, how is that going to work for you? What do you need? Some just so we know, as we prepare for reopen next year, we're kind of focused on, okay, but we know what we need as a staff, but where we really ask the question, what do our students need? So we're trying to get that information as well. But we're happy to share that survey with you too.
Great. Thank you, Phil.
You're welcome.
Phil, this is Derek. Just one last question. Have you guys received any feedback from maybe the students or the parents on whether housing, food, or employment is affecting the students' ability to continue their education at this moment?
Yes, we have, and we get it from students that we couldn't connect with, and then all of a sudden they make connection with the teacher and say, sorry I haven't been able to get back into school or re-engage because I was waiting for my unemployment check, or so some just kind of simple stories like that. But I don't know, Catherine, are you seeing that in any other ways, in terms of that survey? Or
I think there was more feedback coming from the teachers in that in the very beginning, it was the social emotional part of it that students were really grappling with. We had given them a date to re-engage on for their coursework, which was, I think, 3 weeks after, because there was the break in there as well. And it was slow. The students were slow in returning. And then when the teachers were doing their outreach to them, more outreach, that's what they were finding. was that the students were just trying to cope with the fact that they had just lost a job. They now didn't, if they were working, they don't have childcare. How do they pay the rent? So that's what was coming back to us. And the navigators are doing an amazing job getting them connected with services.
Yeah, and one of the things we did do with our students is when we surveyed them about their technology, what did they have and what were they using? And what we found is a lot of students said, well, I'm using my phone, or they were using they had one laptop for the house, for the entire household. And so we just said, no, we're not even accepting that. So you got to get a laptop. So we gave them a laptop immediately. Stop using your phone. Don't share the laptop with the family, even though I know the family has laptop. And that really made a big difference for a lot of our students, in that they just then, we saw them really starting to re-engage, and they felt like now they had access and they could do things not just for school, but have to go look for a job or find resources or whatever that is. So I think that was the biggest change, was just getting that information from students. What did they have, and how could we help get them what they needed?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Phil,
Yes.
it's Joel. Are your students enrolled in dual enrollment right now?
Yes, we've got 9 students that are dually enrolled, and we have 36 students that are in community college that are not dually enrolled, that they've either graduated, but we're keeping track of them right now. So we have 9
Okay,
students there.
because I'm attending the weekly dual enrollment meetings like Sharon Turner, the K-14 TAP for Bay Area community colleges. So they're in discussions about some of the concerns that they're having with the virtual dual enrollment, just even the applications and how to get them signed, the kids being on Canvas, the fact that they're losing a lot of students through dual enrollment. Primarily, I don't know if it's your particular students at OI, if it's charter students or students who are traditionally going to the high school or to the college for dual enrollment in the physical college, but just wondering what kinds of supports you have there to ensure that the students are not giving up. There's also, they're also grappling with the grading piece for articulated or matriculation, because everybody at the K-12 level went to a pass, no pass, or credit, no credit. And the community colleges haven't gotten any guidance from the chancellor's office about, well, you need a B- to matriculate in your dual enrollment courses. So there's ongoing conversations, and I don't know if anybody's attending those bi-weekly, or they're actually weekly. No, they're bi-weekly dual enrollment, but they would like to hear from K-12 in terms of if there's any questions or ideas, because depending on the community college and the school districts, the processes are inconsistent. They don't know who to contact. And so we're trying to get sort of a consistent process in place, but I just want to throw it out there that they do have those biweekly meetings with Sharon Turner, and they are asking for input from K-12.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I would be interested in maybe participating, but certainly our community liaison, college and career liaison, Linda. I think the reason why our students are doing so well in that dual enrollment virtual world is because of our college and career liaison, who is just really focused on checking in with our students daily, finding out what their needs are, meeting with them, calling them. Initially, our students were ready to drop because it was a lot, that transition, but they seem to kind of weather the storm, and they're doing better now. We stayed with the traditional A through AB grading. We thought about doing, credit, no credit, pass, no pass, but after talking to the staff, they said, our students are really motivated when they see that they got an A, because that might be the first A they've ever gotten in high school. So that really motivates them. So we decided not to move to a credit, no credit, and stick with the traditional paid through that grading system.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, we initially we did hear a lot of our students that are dual enrolled, or even the ones that graduated and were in community college, they were struggling with kind of the online classes.
Yeah.
But we managed to still keep 9 in there, and 36 are still going strong. Something that we're really proud of. But that's just all because of relationships and building that. Having one person to sit there and say, I can support you.
Yeah.
And Kipsy also being our, our council being the same. Yeah. Good. Okay. Would you like me to move on, Dr. Ramos, or
Yes,
what's
no other questions? Let's go ahead and move on to your SIPSA.
right? So our SIPSA right now, let me see. Okay, so everyone can see my screen now. So this is what I just put on my meeting notes, but it's easier for me to share it with you this way. So we are in SIPSA development at this point for next year. Our Title I Part A is 303,000. That's the allocation. That's without carryover at this point. Our Title III is 8,000, and our Title IV is 24,000. And then our comprehensive, our CSI grant is 129,000. So some of the contracts that we will be renewing for next year is one certainly is with Career Labs, which is Europe. And so we've had a really, I think, a lot of success with the virtual Career Lab that we're doing now. It's pretty amazing to see our students, instead of going to the Career Lab before, it was in person and they had to be at the site physically there, and now they're in the virtual site, and it's amazing. They're 95% participating. Because it's the virtual, we can actually offer spaces to 16 and 17-year-olds, where before, when it was at a site, it can only be adults. So that has opened up a lot of opportunities for our students. And I think right now we're having the Career Lab now, and we have 18, 17 folks, I think, students. Is that what it is, guys? As before, we would run it at 10. Now we're at close to 20, which is pretty amazing. We're still funding the college and career, or the college, I think that should be career, sorry. College and career liaison position at 98,000. Our Inclusion Collaborative, that's our contract with Inclusion Collaborative to do UDL, which is our Universal Design for Learning. They just did some trainings for our paraeducators, and so the next group would be our teachers to do some training around Universal Design for Learning for our students. Our mental health counselor, we're going to still be able to have a contract with our mental health. Unfortunately, it will be at a part-time level, not at a full-time. And then our Connected contract, and this is the folks that we're working with that's helping us develop our linked learning pathways, our graduate profile, and just kind of getting us on track to build some pathways or build out some of the existing pathways that we have. So what will happen is I will start working on the SIPSA for next year, and then bring it up to the board for approval. Certainly share it with all of you, and look forward to some of your feedback. Any questions about SIPSA?
Okay, see no questions. Go ahead and move to item C, which is Opportunity Youth Academy budget.
So we're all in budgets now, and this is, yeah, we're with all the different, the May revise, and so this is just kind of the numbers that we pulled as of today. Of course, the budgets are constantly evolving, so I just wanted to share with you kind of where we're at this point. So all of our federal and state revenues is right about 3.4 million. This includes our lottery mandated cost, EPA, all of those revenue funds that we get. Of course, there's not enough to cover our total operations, so we are having a general fund contribution of 670,000. That is what the county office will help to kind of plug our operations. Our total is 4 million. That's how much we have, or that's how much we need to continue with OYA or continue the operations of OYA. And this was interesting. Our decrease, the decrease that the governor had talked about, this is our kind of decrease in now CFF is 130,000. I thought it was going to be more, but that's kind of where we're at. So again, this is all kind of general. I'm sorry, because we're still trying to look at our budget and adjust accordingly. Anything about our budget?
Okay, see no questions. Go ahead and move to item D, the ConnectEd.
So ConnectEd, we've been meeting with the ConnectEd team now for the last, I don't know, 4 weeks. We meet every Friday morning. We have a team of leaders that are teachers and some of our paras. And so what they've started to work on is an implementation template that is really cool, actually. So what we've been talking about over the past 4 weeks is to look at what are the priority areas of OI. What are some of the things that we really need to start focusing on, and then put a plan together to address those areas. And one thing that that the team came up with was definitely having a shared vision and commitment. What are our outcomes? This is the graduate profile. What is it exactly that we want our students, our graduates, to have when they graduate high school? And so we've been talking very specifically about those outcomes, what they should look like. How do we include virtual skills? You know, how do you include college and career readiness, math and reading levels? You know, all of these different points that are here on the screen. So that was an area that we absolutely felt that was important for us to talk about. Another area was academic preparation. You know, how do we know that our students are ready for college and career? What should we really be assessing them on? How do we, as a school, take that data and then kind of change our practices to address some of those gaps? Support to improve instruction. We talked a lot about professional development and what is that support should look like for our team. So right now, we're just really in the beginning stages of kind of talking about these points, kind of getting it down to, whittling it down to certain bullet points, things that we feel are important to plan out for next year, and then start putting together kind of a timeline on, okay, what comes first, then what comes second, really start doing some of that work. So as we start putting together a plan, I will share this out to all of you so you can take a look at it and certainly provide some feedback to that. But I'm really excited about the work that the team has been doing. Catherine, do you have anything else to add to this? Because I know Catherine's been working pretty closely with the team.
No, I just want to echo the fact that we're really excited about working with the ConnectEd folks. They've been supporting us through this process in kind of reflecting on where we're at and where we want to go. So it's been great working with them.
Phil, this is Derek. On the part where you have the pathways expansion, what type of work has already maybe been done around the internships being able to be developed, as far as maybe even starting that conversation?
I think we really, this wasn't one of the points that we really were starting to talk about, but certainly we wanted, well, actually, let me take that back. We do have an internship opportunity. And right now, these are just little opportunities that are just kind of coming to us. We haven't fully developed these pathways out yet. That's something that I think we're going to start working on. the team felt it very important that we at least first talk about the shared vision and mission, and what that graduate profile should look like. Once we get that, then we can start filling in, okay, what type of internships do we need to provide? What kind of pathways do we need to start plugging in? But for the internship, I'm gonna let Catherine talk about it because she's been kind of the lead on this, which is really exciting stuff. Can you talk about that, Catherine?
Absolutely. We're planning with San Jose City. They usually have internships in the summer, but because we're social distancing and needing to move more to a virtual platform, they are wanting us to pilot a program with them as an internship. It's going to be, it sounds a lot like career labs over the course of a 6-week period where students will be working with trainers at the city level on job skills. And then they also will be working with students and the teachers for the content that they're working on in their courses. So there will be, there's a stipend, hourly wage for all of that, including coursework that students are doing. And that'll be over a course of 6 weeks for starting, I think, on June 22nd. We're just developing it right now. We're looking at how we assess. We're doing pre and post assessments that we're going to be developing. And the students have the opportunity to earn up to $1,200 for this internship program. Virtual, all virtual.
Hey, excellent.
And Catherine, I'm not sure if we talked about this, but they can earn while they learn, correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
Right. So they get paid while they are actually taking courses. So while they're doing their coursework, they're in OIA, they're going to get paid for it. So we're really excited about this opportunity for our students, and I think it's
and right now because it's a pilot, we're targeting 10 students, and the age range is 16 and 17 for this cohort.
And it would probably be maybe just a suggestion also, maybe looking towards the future, that it probably would just explore also, maybe if you have not already, just the opportunity for the young people that are actually graduating, who might be 18 or either 19 or 20, going off to post-secondary education, to making some connections to our Silicon Valley, where some of these companies are able to track them and offer them internships that once they graduate with their degree, that they'll be able to get a job interview, like at least, or either have employment. That might be like the second part of that right there, just talking to those companies.
Right. And one of the things that ConnectEd will do with us, not for us, but with us, is actually make those contacts. Find ways to how do you make those contacts? What are some of the letters that you send out? How do you do some of those follow-up calls? So they will, they help you, they train you on how to do that. They don't do it themselves. But that's definitely part of this D1.5.
Okay.
And I know, Phil, that the community colleges are working on pilot internship, virtual internships, because this is kind of a new thing. So I know Ohlone College is working on pilot internships, specifically targeting sophomores in Ohlone College, but that we're also, at least the county office through CTE, we're trying to build virtual internships for students. So we may have an opportunity with IBM. It's not paid though, but we're trying to get them. The quandary is that they have funding for paid. So what we're trying to do is get companies who are willing to do to do virtual internships to do badging for students. So at least they have a certification of some kind of specific industry related or work related skills that they can then have in their back pocket for when they go to work. So they'll have a badge of some sort if they can't pay, to incentivize students to actually do the internships without pay, but that there's something involved in it. So we are working on that, and we can share those resources once we develop those virtual internship possibility.
I would love that. I think that, I've always said that students that graduate from OYA or even AED should graduate with a high school diploma, a badge or a certification, something, and then a post-secondary plan. I think that should just be the standard for all of our students. So yes, I would love to explore that with all of you.
I second that.
Okay, go. Sorry, my boy.
Now you gotta eat.
Okay, all right, go.
Now it's time to eat, and you gotta eat. And
Okay.
eat. You gotta eat.
Yeah, bye.
Eat.
This is brand new normal.
Bye.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real, Phil. Keeping it real.
Bill.
Okay.
Hungry, you do look hungry.
I apologize to all of you and to the streaming world. All right, so what do we got next?
I have a question, Phil.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
Is there a section in here about I don't know what it would be called, but like, leveraging partnerships or like leveraging different resources out in the community, because we know that personalized guidance and support is such a huge piece of
Yeah,
supporting opportunity for graduation, and we're doing that work with Resource Link, and it feels like something important to put in this implementation plan to help get Resource Link in our process more deeply integrated into OYA.
yes, in fact, it is in. I'm so sorry, guys.
I think it's the one that Linda was working on with the implementation of the pathways or the development of the pathways.
Yes, I believe so. There in one of these, because then we break it down to very specific goals. And so in one of these, we did talk about absolutely leveraging partners. Yes, it is in here. And I'll share that with you, Courtney.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I can.
There it was, input of all stakeholders possibly.
But
But I think you're talking more about connections, right, Courtney? With
Oh, yeah. it's
Sorry,
okay.
Catherine. I somehow lost Phil's screen. I don't know what button I pressed, but what was the title that you read, Catherine?
So it's input from all stakeholders as what skills the graduates would need to be successful. OYA staff, community partners, all of our partners is kind of what it says.
that's one part of it, right,
Yeah.
Courtney? I think that you're wanting to connect students.
Yeah, it's more about the resource connection to the needs that students have while they're working through their high school diploma. When we did our Opportunity Works pilot, the education navigators that your students had, because of the very personalized guidance and support, were 3 times more likely to graduate. And so it's just like such a huge, important piece of getting to a high school diploma. And so how can we, I don't know, it seems like something that should be a part of this implementation, especially that goes along with, the back on track model that's in the charter, that personalized guidance and support, and, using programs that are already out there that can support your students.
Yeah, and I believe it is in here. I will find it for you specifically. Well, not you specifically, Courtney, but I will find it and share it with you. But I know it's in the plan. Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions on this? Okay, Phil, go ahead and go in enrollment attendance then.
Yeah, so enrollment and attendance. And so I'm happy to report that our enrollment actually is up. So we're at 394 students, which is going up. Our engagement is 252. So we have approximately 120 students, I think, I'm kind of guessing at that point, but probably about 120 students that we are still trying to re-engage. We're doing our best to get navigators out there to find them, talk to, send out reminds. At some point, we will have to start thinking about either temporarily holding their enrollment until we can figure out what's going on. But we do have a growing wait list as well of students that are ready to start. So what we started to do is actually implement our new Aries online enrollment. So this is ready to go. We're done. Finally, I've tested it. I think Catherine's tested it. Blanca's tested it. So we've gotten the whole application process done and ready to go. So I'm excited about this. So we'll start sharing this out with the community and our districts to let them know if there's a student or a family that's interested in enrolling, they can go here and start just enrolling, and we can start that way. What we also did was create a virtual orientation. So when students are ready to go, we're starting to enroll them in cohorts, not individually as we did before. So when we get a total of 10 students, we schedule them for one orientation where I do a welcome, Catherine does a welcome. We do kind of why OYA, what are the expectations of being an OYA student? What are all the services that are available to them? And once they're done with the orientation, then they schedule a meet and greet with their teacher. And the teacher then helps them work through Schoology. How do you get online? What are my expectations as a teacher? And so that has been happening. We've already done 2 orientations and it's been very successful. One thing that I forgot to mention is in order for a student to actually participate in orientation, they have to complete the success assessment and they also have to do the Strengths Finder in Naviance. Those are the only 2 requirements. If they don't do those requirements, then we don't allow them into orientation. They have to wait. So those are the only 2 bigger requirements that we have. They have 2 weeks to do it because we've scheduled our orientations bi-weekly. So they have time. And if they need assistance with technology or they need to, they don't understand how to navigate the Naviance, we're all available to help them. So those are the only 2. And so far, it's been pretty successful. So this isn't going to change. This is how we're going to continue to enroll students even when we get back to our, for next year and the year forever, I hope. But this is the new process. So now we can capture our success assessment data upfront and not try to track them or find them after. So we're happy about this. I think this is a big change for us and teachers are happy about it. So I'm excited. But that's where we're at with our enrollment. Any questions about that? Yep. I think that's all I've got, Chief.
Still, I have a question.
Oh, yes, Courtney.
You had said you have 394 students enrolled and that there are 120 students that you're trying to engage. So is that whatever 394 minus 120, does that mean that those students, that amount of students are engaged and logging in and connected, like re-engaged or still engaging with OYA?
Yes, absolutely. The 200 and some students are, we're actually taking attendance for those students. A little different though, because attendance is not, we're not necessarily taking it on work completion or because we're not reporting our attendance up to the state. But we are still need to take attendance because I think that's the best way for us to really see how many students are really engaged. But yes, we're looking at weekly attendance, trying to identify those students that are not showing up and then trying to go after them.
And because I don't understand how the platform works. Does attendance mean that they, have logged into Schoology, or what does attendance mean?
I think it's at this point it's just it's engagement attendance. So yeah, if they logged into Schoology, how often are they checking in with the staff? I think primarily it's based on Schoology and the work that they're seeing done in Schoology. That's how teachers are determining the attendance for those students.
That's helpful.
Phil, this is Derek. Hey, is there like a plan that if you right now, considering what's going on, and is there like a plan that once you may get to capacity, that those students that may be still waiting to actually get in or actually receive see their education, is there some type of like support services while they wait that maybe they can get to just keep them engaged while they're waiting to maybe get in, that if you ever get to that point where you get a full list?
Yes, I think that's a great idea, Derek. And when my hope is that as those students wait, as we say, that we could provide support to them, that maybe offer the success assessment, although we would have, I mean, that's kind of tricky because they're not enrolled students, but certainly there's a way that we should probably find out what their needs are and start working on those as they wait to start with OYA. But yeah, I think that we could put something together for that. A lot of times it's just having to ask the student, you know, what are your needs? Why do you want to go to OYA? Sometimes they say, I need to, you know, get a GED, since they get confused by GED in high school diploma. And so we can certainly help students if that's all they want is the GED. Certainly help them and guide them in the right direction. We don't want to turn students away, but we definitely want to get them to the kind of the place that they need to be. But I think it's a great idea.
Phil, I'm just wondering what are the main contributors to students being on a wait list?
Space, basically that we're at max, that teachers can only take 38 students. So when a teacher's at max at 38, they're waitlisted. I mean, we can't take any more students. That's
So
the
are
only.
there plans to add more staff, or?
That would be the best thing to do, is add more staff. But given kind of where we're at right now in our budget, I'm not sure if we could do that at this point. But certainly that would solve the problem, is to add more staff. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and then the other piece is, are there plans to somehow validate the approximately, if my math is right, 142 students that you haven't been able to connect with, that perhaps might need to be removed from the enrollment rosters if they're not re-engaging at some point? I mean, do you have a point in time where that will be evaluated? So if perhaps a student teacher's caseload of 28 actually isn't 28?
So thank you for bringing that up, Lori, because we are at that point in time. I have now, I think, 4 weeks of attendance, so I can start kind of making those decisions. I didn't want to do it the first week or two because we weren't sure what was the need of our students. But now, consistently over the past 4 weeks, we've been at 250 students, 252 students that have been engaged. So what I'm doing right now is looking at the list of students that are not engaged, and then I have to, because some of our students are SPED, so there's a certain process to kind of drop them from our enrollment. Some of them are minors, so we've got to be sure that we're reaching out to parents. I'm looking at adult students and seeing how do we, I mean, I don't want to just drop those students, but you know, we're going to have to, obviously, but then making sure that we get, get some letters out to some of these families and students and say, look, you haven't come in for the past 4 weeks. We need to hear from you in 3 to 5 days. If not, then we will have to unfortunately drop you from our enrollment. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, I think we're at that point to start doing that, so that we can clear up space and get some of these students that have been waitlisted and get them going.
Right, just there's always the concern we all know with our population that once they make the decision to re-engage, if that doesn't happen in a certain length of time, they move on.
Right, absolutely. And so what we've been trying to do since we went into shelter in place was immediately just get out, find out what the needs of our students were, start working those needs, trying to find get them what they needed, and then start kind of just looking at, okay, what's that group of students that really are not showing up? And I think I have that data now to be able to make some of those decisions. Of course, I want to include teachers before we start dropping students, give teachers an opportunity to look at who these students are. Some of the some teachers have information about students that, maybe a student had to move out of county, or so I want to be sure that we're getting the information we need to make well-informed
Thank
decisions.
you.
Yeah. I think that's all I've got, Chief.
All right, thank you, Phil. Again, this is the online registration has been wonderful too. It's a good way to go for us. Item F is recruitment for open position for the Governance Council. Just want to remind everyone, we still do have one open position. So if you know anyone that would want to join the Governance Council, please send them our way. And with that, again, the next, we have a OIA board meeting scheduled for June 12th and one scheduled for June 18th. And again, we do plan to go with the Zoom format with live streaming as well. So hopefully we can work out some of those glitches that we learned today. So with that, if I could have a motion for adjournment.
A motion for adjournment.
A second.
Thank you. First and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. See you soon.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Aye.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.
All right. So
I got a text from Wu that there looks like there's some issues with the live streaming.
really? Okay, because I'm looking at the studio now and it's still, oh, we probably, let me stop it here, end stream.